It's all over. Well, maybe. There's some very strong sequel bait at the end of this episode. We get a fair bit of backstory to Agatha and a further explanation of the shock twist, which unfortunately doesn't clear very much up. It just makes things even more unbelievable. At least Catherine Hahn has to act with some pathos in this episode, so she's a lot more tolerable than in other episodes, when she's always making smart aleck remarks. This episode of Agatha All Along probably raises more questions than it answers. So let's get stuck into the spoiler section for episode 9 of Agatha All Along and get this over and done with. Flashback to 1750. Agatha is on the run and she's pregnant. How she got pregnant we'll never know because this show can't have a hetero man in it. He was probably a real jerk. So Agatha's shown to be romantic with Rio way back then, but she's knocked up? How? Is Agatha bi? Did she cheat on Rio? What's going on? It makes no sense. So, Rio is going to kill Agatha's baby from unknown parts, and Agatha saying please made her delay the inevitable. Some death she turned out to be. She had one job. Oh no, they pulled a Han Solo. She says that she didn't get Nicholas from a spell or incantation. She made him from scratch. Nicholas Scratch. Get out of here, show. That's terrible. So this is a completely different origin story from the comics. Nicholas Scratch was the father of the Salem 7. Agatha stumbles upon some witches who have set up a circle of protection that she cannot cross until invited. Is she a vampire? She does suck powers from people. The first witch she meets is a bit sus. Almost like a man pretending to be a woman. It's all very multicultural, as it was back in the 18th century. How very cheap. Camera pans up and we get some screaming and some flashes of light, and Agatha's sucked them all of their power. 6 years later, Agatha's sending her kid out to steal from the witches. Multicultural witches. To lure them back to her house so she can steal their powers too. More of the Witch's Road song. Here we get a protosaic version that Agatha helps Nicholas fine-tune into the little ditty we know and love. The continuity person should be fired. That goat changes positions. It's in front of Agatha, then when she fires her purple it's by her side. What are we doing here? I'm with you, kid. Agatha talks to Nicholas about how she cannot tell him when she will return. And my immediate thought was, oh, we've skipped the part where she tells him her backstory. But nope, he asks her who she is. This kid's singing about doors, and I don't think we've seen one yet. Oh god, did they auto-tune this kid's voice? And why is he singing a song about how awesome witches are? They'll burn him at the stake. Some woman wants to know more about the song, but for unknown reasons, Nicholas says he has to go. He's also developing a fake cough. I thought this was part of the act, but it seems he may have actually been sick. So Rio shows up and takes him away and we get the world's longest waking up sequence. Honestly, it takes 20 seconds for Agatha to wake up in this shot. Talk about stalling for time. I have to admit that Catherine Hahn does a much better acting job when she's supposed to be sad. I'm buying it here. Shame she has to sing that damn song though. She puts the hair in the locket, but she forgets the dandelion seed. What the hell? It better be in a future scene. Agatha is interrupted by a young witch who wants her to show her the way to the road. So they put together a deliciously multicultural coven. Man, the history books have been lying to me all these years, telling me the past was full of racism. Turns out everyone got along just fine. So for the last 300 years, she's been running a con on these women and pretending to believe in the Witch's Road so she can get them alone, fail, antagonize them, and then suck them dry when they blast her. What happens if they just turn around and say, oh well, maybe next time? And we're back to current day. Which makes no sense because if she was attempting to sucker them in, why did she tell Lilia that she can absorb her power if they blast her? It would defeat the purpose. And Jenna's been bound and has no power. And Sharon isn't a witch. So she would only get Alice's power, but the Salem 7 are coming for them anyway, so there's no way out. They really messed this plot up. So Agatha's now a ghost. how are we going to get rid of her now? And Jen has clawed her way out of the earth on the edge of Westview. How come she's so delayed? She left first and escaped almost 24 hours after Billy and Agatha. But at least now she can fly home and have a shower. Billy goes to Agatha's house to banish her with the brooch she stole. But then he realizes that Agatha is afraid to face Nicholas. I have no idea why the show is trying to make Agatha sympathetic when the entire episode and series they've been making her out to be a monster. Billy casts a spell to close his fake ass road door, and they put the names of the women they killed on it, so they're off the hook for their crimes. And they're off to find Tommy in the worst sequel bait since The Acolyte. And finally, the whole season is over. I'm giving episode 9 of Agatha All Along a 4 out of 10. The twist basically undid the entire plot, and if you think back to earlier episodes, it makes zero sense. It seems like a common thing lately when the twist arrives and it contradicts earlier episodes, as if we're supposed to have forgotten them. The acting from Catherine Hahn was much more subdued and believable. I just don't like these characters. They're horrible people, and then you find out they're not who they say they are, which doesn't change much in my opinion. For the season overall, it's going to be a 4 out of 10. It felt like a women's power fantasy. They can't have physical power, so they think they can make up for it with magical power. There's very few redeeming qualities among these witches. Only Alice seems to be the one who's in it for reasons other than personal profit. The dress-ups were stupid and the cultural references were very on the nose. I still can't understand the mechanic behind Agatha absorbing powers. She's clearly susceptible to Wanda's spells. She had 2 spells used on her by Billy, the one to snap her out of Wanda's spell and the one to banish her from her or Boner's home. Will the unbinding ritual count as a spell? It's also inconsistent and airy-fairy. And to think that they want another season to go find Tommy. Laughable. Its one saving grace is that it must have been cheap as chips to produce. But unfortunately, no one is even talking about this show. I asked people I know and they haven't even heard of it. If they do proceed with the second season, I hope they watch Penguin and work out how to create interesting characters and plot lines. They're scum, but at least I can see things from their point of view. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, please consider subscribing. I release reviews occasionally when time allows, and a thumbs up would be a big motivator for further reviews. If you didn't like it, feel free to leave a thumbs down and let me know how I can improve in the comments below. Anyway, I'm Mixy, thanks for your time, and have a good one.